Thank you. Is everybody in the Christmas spirit? I think so. We're waiting for our fearless leader. He'll be here soon, I'm sure. Thank you. Thank you. I think he's on his way.
Catherine. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Ken Wilcox, and you're most welcome to be here. If you're joining us online, please know while we're happy that you're viewing us, and a special wave out to Jen, you can't match the energy here in the center, so we're glad to have you. Now, we're sort of a unique spiritual community because we're a spiritual community without dogma, any kind of dogma. We don't tell you what you should believe. We encourage you to come to a God of your understanding, one that you can put to work in your life. So know wherever you're at on your spiritual journey, you're most welcome to be here this morning. And we know you're going to leave in a significant way encouraged and inspired. Well, several announcements before we get going. They're in my pocket here. All right. So today, after service at 12 o'clock, we're all going to gather down exactly at noon at the Ponce Rehab Center. It's just right down the road. We have all kinds of cookies and things we're going to share with the people who are there. We're going to sing Christmas carols to them, and we have gifts that we're going to give out. So that's 12 o'clock today. Join us down at the Ponce and share some Christmas spirit. I'm sure you'll feel better for it. I know they'll feel better for it as well. Candle lighting service is going to be at Christmas Eve at 6:30 here. We have Silver Fawn. She's going to do a Native American interpretation of the Christmas lighting, and Catherine Archer will be there to provide music. We have our Burning Bowl ceremony on January 5th, and that's a great ceremony to get rid of any old ideas and put your intentions into mind of what you want to attract in the coming year. Circle suppers are starting up, and they're going to start up on January 5th as well, and Carolyn Lang is going to come up and tell us about it. Come on up, Carolyn.
Thank you. Thank you. That's nice. Good morning. I was just thinking when Ken mentioned the service on January 5th, how perfect that we will start our circle suppers that night. So starting January 5th, most of you must have received a little announcement about it. We will be meeting the first Sunday of each month, January, February, March, and April. So it's only 4 suppers. It is by far one of the most wonderful ways to enrich the relationships that you already have and to make new ones. So I encourage you, whether you've been a member of CSL for years or it's a new journey for you, to take part in this. It's a great way to get to know people better. If anyone has any questions? Yes. 6 to 8. That's the max. And if there's a particular, if you can't host, you don't have room, you don't want to, that's to me the best thing to do. But if you can't, don't think you can't sign up for Circle Supper, because you can. We have extra people who are willing to host. I know Mike and myself, we'd host every single supper. If we don't have someone, we'll do it. Pat, she's willing every time. So don't make that the reason you don't sign up, please. Please, please, please. And if you have any other questions, could you just come and find me afterwards? And I expect to be bombarded with people signing up, right? That's
Yes.
what I'm going to envision.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolyn. It is a great thing. It's a good way to get to meet people. So check with Carolyn and be sure you sign up. DeLuna will be doing our after-service workshop next week. This is a ceremony about bringing in the love of the rose, and she'll be here. That'll be 12:30 next week. And finally, we do have a family that is looking for housing, temporary housing in St. Johns County for 3 months. So if you know anybody, if you know of a housing situation, if you let me know, I can pass off their information to you. Finally, we have a special visitor here this morning. I am sure he was hoping I would not embarrass him, but Victor Manley is going to come up and tell us all about the great stuff he's doing in med school. Get on up here, Victor Manley. Get on up here. Handsome as the devil. Any of y'all got a niece out there? Soon to be doctor. He should be good on the market. What's going on, Victor?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Always a fashion plate. That's the thing you got to notice about him.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am in medical school at Edward Via College of Osteopathic Medicine at Auburn University.
Can you write prescriptions yet?
No, not
All
yet.
right.
Still got a while to go.
All right. Keep us updated on that.
Yeah, I'm halfway through my first year, and I have to go through 4 years, and then I'll be going into the Navy for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Good for you.
yeah, thank you.
That Navy uniform's going to look good on you, Victor. That's when you're going to rake in the women.
Thank you very much.
All right. So how long are you down for?
3 weeks. I'll be leaving January 4th. So
All right.
The day before the Burning Bowl. The Circle
Okay.
Supper, unfortunately.
All right. We're very proud of you, Victor.
Thank you very much.
All right. So you know it's expensive to be in med school. So if you go visit with Victor, if you want to show him a little folding money love, I always make the Reverend Ike joke. You know, Reverend Ike, he was a great minister, and he would pass the basket, and he would say, well, it's not close to Christmas time, so I don't want to hear any jingling, jangling going on in that basket. You know, I want silent money. Well, unfortunately, it is close to Christmas time, but keep the jingling and jangling for when we go sing carols at the nursing home, and show Victor some folding money love and send him back, letting him know that he's got a group of people that really support and love him. So thank you, Victor, for coming today. Well, those are all my announcements. To get us started, we're going to have Jim Saul come up and do a reading and treatment for us. Come on up, Jim. You going to share with us how Santa Claus has already been good to you?
I don't know that he was. I have to pay for the new vehicle.
Send it to the North Pole, Jim.
It was a very expensive vehicle. It's a VW electric bus, the old bus. So it's amazing. I love it. This week I ran across a book that I really love. It's called Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And it was just, it felt like the message that I needed to talk about. So I kind of wrote this up yesterday. See if I can get through it. I entitled it Wisdom from an Indigenous Culture. This week I read a story about an anthropologist who was studying a hunter-gatherer community in the Brazilian rainforest. A hunter had just come back from a very successful hunt with far too much meat for his family to eat. The anthropologist knew that the hunter knew about storing and smoking meat and asked the hunter, "How are you planning to store the meat?" The hunter was confused and puzzled by the question. "Store the meat? Why would I do that?" the hunter said. Instead, the hunter sent out an invitation to a feast, and soon all the neighboring families in the village were gathered around his fire and ate until every last morsel of the meat was gone. The anthropologist was still confused, and again the anthropologist asked, "Given the uncertainty of finding meat in the forest, why didn't you store the meat for yourself?" Which is what the anthropologist's culture would have done. "Store the meat," said the hunter. "I store the meat in the bellies of my brothers," he replied. This is the difference between a gift economy and the Western market economy. This is the difference between a village sharing its resources for the benefit of all and a market economy which says all is scarce and to grab and hoard as much as you can. So who is richer, I ask myself? The one who lives in a scarcity and hoards, or the one who has a whole village to share with and to help sustain all life? Lost my place. In a gift economy, status is governed not by how much you accumulate, but by how much you give away. My conclusion to this: give some of what you have, and amazing things will be given back to you. This is my message for Christmas. So thank you. Let's go into the morning prayer. And if you would, if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And know with me that we are given plenty. We are giving a huge abundance. And that this divine intelligence is everywhere around us. It smiles at us from the trees, from the clouds, from our neighbor. And as long as we can smile back to all these living energies, we too shall smile. I know that this divine intelligence has such abundance. It gives to us without need of payment. It gives to us without a need for, trying to get something back. So we can live in this gift economy. We can live in this economy in such a beautiful way when we begin to share what we have. It might not be money. It might be food, wisdom, a smile. But the more that we give what we have without really suffering ourselves, then we live in this gift economy. And the gifts are plentiful. So I give thanks for this time this morning. I give thanks for this center, for it has always helped me for so many years. I give thanks to Reverend Ken. I know his message will be profound. I know that each and every one of us here has great gifts to give, and that we will give them freely and with love. And I can release this prayer knowing that it's true, knowing that it's beautiful, knowing that this divine intelligence will guide each and every one of us. And I can release this prayer simply by saying, and so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Catherine, you're going to come up and play a song for us?
How do I get this over my antlers? Hold on. The whole wardrobe change here on stage. That was really beautiful, by the way. Wow. Got me choked up. So when you were kids, did any of you leave out cookies and milk for Santa Claus? I bet you did. Well, this is one of my favorite Christmas songs. It's called I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus underneath the mistletoe last night. Help me out. She didn't see me creep down the stairs to have a peek. She thought that I was tucked up in my bedroom fast asleep. Then I saw Mommy tickle Santa Claus underneath his beard all snowy white. Oh, what a laugh it would have been if Dad had only seen Mommy kissing Santa Claus last night. Now this time you sing, well, I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus underneath the mistletoe last night. She didn't see me creep down the stairs to have a peek. She thought that I was tucked up in my bedroom fast asleep, but I wasn't. I saw Mommy tickle Santa Claus underneath his beard all snowy white. Oh, what a laugh it would have been if Dad had only seen Mommy kissing Santa Claus, Mommy tickling Santa Claus, Mommy making out with Santa Claus last night. Go, Mom. Wow.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Catherine. That was lovely. So my talk this morning is Spiritual Answers. At noon today, as I mentioned, we're going to go down and we're going to sing Christmas carols to the residents of the Ponce Rehab Center. I was talking to a cousin of mine. I mentioned to her that that's what we were going to be doing today. And she replied, I would never want to do that right before Christmas because it sounds so depressing to be in a nursing home and going around and seeing those people. Well, here's the thing. Life isn't supposed to be one big party after another. There are some challenging times, and particularly if you're lucky enough to reach a certain age, you face some realities of life. But those realities also give us the opportunity to grow in compassion and understanding for ourselves and to each other, to grow from looking for the blessings of Spirit to becoming the blessings of Spirit. Because that's what we're here to do, to know that because of us, life has been better, for at least someone. And for me, this is where I'm at in my stage of life. This is the question that I think we'll answer to ourselves when we leave this existence. Did we make it better for at least someone? I remember a couple of years ago when we would go visit the nursing homes. We used to do it on Christmas Day. I went and sat with a woman who couldn't get out of her room, and so we had gone and we had sat with them, and we'd given out bags, and she had gone through them, and one of the gifts that we had given them was a little bracelet, and she put it on, and she was so in awe of that bracelet, and she told me, she said, you know, my husband, when I was younger and we were young, he used to buy me real jewelry every year. She says, this bracelet is reminding me of those times. You never know. You never know what just a little bit of kindness can do for a person. It's not about a denial of this sadness, but a remembrance of the joy we can bring, the power that we have. We're not weak, we're not wounded, we're not broken, we're powerful. We are God's answer to every problem we see before us. And if we will trust in Spirit and have faith in ourselves, and that's really the hard part. It's easy to call on God to intervene in the challenges that we see before us. It's another matter to realize it's through our thinking, our speaking, and our doing that God brings its miracles to life. You are the way Spirit is working in your life, and you are the way that it will channel divine intervention for the best. Last week, I was talking about a Charlie Brown Christmas special and how impactful it was on how Americans celebrate Christmas. And it's a funny little program because it's supposed to be a Christmas program for children, but it deals with very deep things, primarily how it's possible to be depressed during the holidays, and not finding meaning, and not being as happy as you think people around you are. And the larger message of it is that material things will not satisfy spiritual longings. Things are not an answer for spiritual questions. It's when we connect with Spirit. That's what we're really longing for. This is the water from the well that if we drink, we will thirst no more. Now, the show itself was really a miracle that it was ever on the air. It was a miracle. It got made because a New York ad executive pitched it to Coca-Cola that he could create a Christmas special using the characters from Peanuts from Charles Schulz. The problem was he had never bothered to ask Charles Schulz if he wanted to write a Christmas special. So Coca-Cola bought the program, and there was no program to be bought. He went to Charles Schulz, and he says, listen, I've sold this program. Charles Schulz says, well, I don't have a special written. And by the way, Coca-Cola wanted to read the script on Monday morning. It was Thursday afternoon. So he and Charles Schulz got together, and they quickly wrote out the script for the Christmas special. They submitted it to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola loved it. They bought it, they gave them the money, and they said, by the way, we want it on for this Christmas season, 6 months away. It was an impossible task. This was before computers, so it meant that 120,000 separate cells, animated cells, had to be drawn. 120,000 of them. And no one had an idea of how to animate the Charlie Brown draw him in profile was a real difficulty for them. Charles Schulz thought that they should just be big talking heads. That's all he wanted. No background or anything. This just these big heads talking. Can you imagine? That would have tried hard. Fortunately, they all got working on it. Now, they made 3 huge decisions that were so opposite to kids' programming at the time. The first they insisted, Charles insisted, that they only use little children to be the voices and to sing the songs. Before then, for children's programs, to sound like kids. But Schulz thought that they really needed legitimate kids. So that's what they used. They used children. They thought if they used jazz music and had jazz music as a soundtrack, that would attract adults to watch it. So that had never been done before. Jazz for a kids program. So they got the jazz musician in line. And thirdly, Schulz was a strong Christian, and he wanted a strong Christian message. And this is why Linus reads the Gospel of Luke at the very end. Now, for the music, as I said, they had a jazz composer to write the music. It was all instrumental. Right before they were going to show it to Coca-Cola, they realized that one of the songs needed to have lyrics. The ad guy wrote the lyrics for Christmas Time Is Here in 15 minutes on the back of an envelope. That's how that got written. And it's a beautiful song still. My favorite, Rosemary Clooney, has done a version of it. Look her up, and it's a really beautiful. Now, the only way the program got released was because they presented it to Coca-Cola 10 days before it was to air. Coke had done tons of advertising on television for this program. When the ad executives in New York, the Coca-Cola ad people in New York saw the program, they were horrified. They hated everything of it. They hated the beginning, they hated the middle, and they particularly hated the end. And they knew people were going to be fired because of this horrible disaster. If they could have possibly pulled the program, they would have. But they had already invested so much in advertising, it had to go on. So it was released, and when it aired, it was universally acclaimed. It had a huge viewership through the roof. The only thing that beat it that week in ratings was Bonanza. And it's aired every season since, that one program. Now, another interesting thing that we can attribute to the Charlie Brown Christmas special, it ended the fad of having silver Christmas trees. I don't know how many of you grew up with a silver Christmas tree like that. We had the one in our house. You know, it had the little wheel that had the 4 lights that supposedly looked like lights on it. They did not. And if you'll remember in the show, the kids sing Charlie Brown out to buy a Christmas tree, and they tell him, get an aluminum one. And he gets to the Christmas tree lot. He sees all the lemon trees. He sees the little sad Charlie Brown Christmas tree. He says, that's the one for me. I want a live tree. It ended the whole fad of silver Christmas trees and brought back the idea of having live Christmas trees. We can thank Charles Schulz for that. Now, the real theme of the program, like I said, it deals with serious things. Charlie Brown's depressed. He doesn't seem as happy as he thinks everybody else is. He talks about commercialism, but what he's really talking about is materialism. Materialism, thinking that goods, stuff, is going to make you happy. That somehow we don't have enough of God's goodness to live in joy. That's the core of the message. And the truth is, we all have enough to live in joy and comfort. And if we don't have the answer, it's not going to come. If we don't have what we need, it's not going to come in ribbon and bows. It won't come in stuff. This is the fatal flaw of Scrooge's thinking. He thought if he had enough stuff, he would be happy and safe. But you're not. You need connections. You know, some of the wealthiest people that have ever lived ended up having horrible last parts of their life. Doris Duke, she had a huge fortune, and at the end, her butler was running around in her jewelry and her clothes. Howard Hughes, the same thing. He was abused at the end of his life, even though he had tons of money. We live in a world that glorifies materialism, wealth, possessions, external success. They're held up as achievements. But if you will notice, when the heart cries out for meaning and purpose and connections, those material things seem inadequate. I heard someone talk today, and they were talking about people who have tremendous success. And he said the first fear when people really have lots of money is they're going to lose their money. That's the first thing, because they don't have a connection in spirit. If you have a connection in spirit, if you lose it, you know it will come back, and you have that peace and that ease. In Scripture, it says, the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. And what are the things that are not seen? Well, they're love. You give love out, and it makes an impact, no doubt. No matter when you give love out, it's going to impact. Fulfillment comes from within, not from what we accumulate. Spirit fulfillment comes from what we've been able, how much love we've been able to give out. These past couple of weeks, I've been thinking a lot about the healthcare CEO who was assassinated on the streets of Manhattan. You know, he left three children and had to lose a father at that age. That is a terrible burden, and it's something that will, for the rest of your life, that's something that is sort of a handicap. No matter what else comes, you always, when you lose a parent that early on. I've also, not to justify his assassination, because there's no justification for it, but you know, this guy, he was earning $1 million a month. $1 million a month. You know, $33,000 a week. And the thing about his firm was that he had double the rate of rejections of insurance claims than his competitors. And that's why his board of directors had hired him. They had hired him so he could set up a situation that was rejecting many people, but bringing in a lot of profit to him. Now, I love making money. There's nothing wrong with making money, and there's nothing wrong with being hugely successful. We love that. We want people to succeed. But you want to feel good about how you succeed. And the thing about this guy, you know, if he would have been so much happier making just a fraction of that money if he had actually stepped up and done the right thing and provided the health care to the people who had faith in him, who paid for his product, who believed in him. You know, he might not have been able to match the guys down at the country club. You know, he might not have been able to buy the expensive cars, but he would have slept at night and he would have comfort in his soul, knowing that he had stepped up and done the right thing. This is what we're called to do the right thing. And when we do the right thing, the money won't matter so much. When we live with knowing that we are channels of God's love and compassion, that's payment enough. Materialism promises a life of happiness and ease and commitment. Society tells us if you have the bigger house, a newer car, more money, you'll be happy. And for a while, those things can bring us joy, but eventually, and Scripture says everything rusts. Eventually, the newness fades, and we're left to seek again. And the next thing you know, you're out shopping for an $8,000 shower curtain. You know, you're chasing. In Buddhism, they call it the hungry ghost. That when you have that kind of greed, and the next life in the spiritual realm, you'll have a huge appetite, but a small mouth, and you'll never be able to fill that appetite. And that's what materialism is, because they're always going to have a bigger house. There's always going to be a newer car. So when you're in that chase, material things are just inherently temporary, and they cannot satisfy the yearning of the soul. When we align with our spiritual truth, the knowledge that we are divine beings connect us to Source, and everything else falls in place. Material things no longer become the goal. They become the natural byproduct of living in harmony with our compassion and goodness. Christ in Scripture says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added." The kingdom of God isn't a physical place, it's a state of consciousness. When we prioritize gratitude and love and service, we find that our material needs are met, shaken down, and overflowing. That's the promise from Scripture. And that is the power of divine abundance. And even modern science now is saying this is the truth. And quantum physics, it supports this perspective. It suggests that consciousness plays a role in shaping our reality. When we focus on scarcity or fear, we experience more of that. When we focus on abundance and peace and wholeness, the universe responds, and our outer world begins to reflect our inner world. What you think about your life, what you think you deserve about your life, is what's going to be reflected in your outer world. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough. What we have into enough. I went to see my dear prayer partner on Friday. As many of you know, 6 months ago, she suffered from a really bad stroke, and she's been on her road back to recovery, but she's not 100% there. And last Friday, she had a step back, and she has begun to contemplate that she might not get to the place where she's 100% back to where she was. And so she has less energy, and she's not as vital. And at one point, I had taken her out to lunch, and at one point at lunch, she looked at me and she says, "Well, how do you feel about having a friend who's not the same person I was when you met me? I don't have the energy. I don't have the vitality. How do you feel about me as a friend now?" And I told her, "Never you mind. You will always be friend enough. However you show up, that is enough. It's enough for me. It's enough for the world. And it's enough for creation." This time of year, our Jewish friends, they celebrate Hanukkah. And it's a celebration of light. It's when they restored the temple. They thought they only had enough sacred oil to light the menorah for one night, but the lamp miraculously stayed lit for 8 nights. You might think you don't have enough to carry on, but Spirit can lift you up. It can make a way out of no way. The turmoil and stress of the world may have robbed you of your greater vision for yourself, but don't let the fussing and fuming of the world hold you back. You have come to life to know how wonderful you are, how powerful you are. When you step out into the glory of your being, the power of your heart, when you step out in faith, not looking for answers, but by being the solution, there is no night so long, no storm so furious that you and the love of God cannot proclaim a greater day. And that's what you are here to do, to proclaim a greater day of love and compassion, of kindness. We are here to allow God's glory to rain down upon us and pour out from our hearts and soul. We are the new day, a new heaven and a new earth. And it's ours to proclaim, it is ours to recognize, and it is ours to be. This is the truth in your life today. It's the truth in mine, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That was powerful.
Thank you, Catherine.
There it is. Okay. Well, I'm going to change. I was going to do one song, but I'm going to do a different one now because this goes right along with your sermon. I don't want your lonely mansion with a TV in every room. All I want's the love you promised beneath the halo moon. But you think I should be happy with your money and your name, and hide myself in sorrow while you play your money game. Silver threads and golden needles cannot bend this heart of mine. I dare not drown my sorrow in the warm glow of your wine. You can't buy my love with money, 'cause I never was that kind. Silver threads and golden needles cannot mend this heart of mine. I don't want your lonely mansion with a TV in every room.
Oh, well, thank you, Catherine. So now we come to the time we support our center. We support this place because this place is doing great good. After the holiday season, we'll get the circle suppers going, but soon after that, we're going to start up our Venus Manley Scholarship Fund that Victor was so instrumental in getting going, and that is where we'll give out scholarships to kids with disabilities. So we have lots of great good to do here, and you are making it possible, and your donations, your volunteership, and your prayers are all making it possible. So however how you choose to support our community, if you'll take your intentions and place it over your heart and read with us our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. Well, thank you in advance for your contributions. The ushers step forward. I know you got something great for us, Catherine.
I got it. City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas. Children laughing, people passing, meeting smile after smile, and on every street corner you hear the silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them ring. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Strings of streetlights, even stoplights, blink a bright red and green as the shoppers rush home with their treasures. Hear the snow crunch, see the kids bunch. This is Santa's big scene, and above all this tassel you hear the silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Hear them ring, jing-a-ling. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Hear them ring, ring-a-ling. Soon it will be Christmas Day.
Thank you, Catherine. And thank you, Joy. And thank you for your support. Your support is allowing this center to grow and to thrive, to continue to be that beacon of hope, light, and love. So we thank you, we bless it, we release it, knowing that it comes back to us in dynamic and bold ways. And together we say, and so it is. So now we'll conclude the service with an affirmative prayer. I'm going to do it in the first person. Take it in for yourself. If I say something that works for you, well, hold tight to that. If I say something that doesn't work for you, just let that part slide by. But just know this truth with me this morning. There is but one God and one mind and one power, and that power is divine wisdom, perfect love, compassion, and kindness. That power called me by name from stardust so I can walk the soil of St. Augustine, so I can be a channel of God's goodness, of God's blessing, of God's wisdom and intelligence right where I am. So here today, surrounded by all these wonderful, loving souls in this sacred space, I now choose to know something better for myself. I choose to lift my eyes from the turmoil and stresses and strains of the world, and I choose to lift them up to see the glory of God raining down upon me. This morning, I am not weak. I am not wounded. I am not a mistake. This morning, I can leave this place inspired and encouraging, knowing that I am the way. The Spirit is showing up in life, and Spirit is showing up in my life in dynamic and powerful and miraculous ways. Spirit has called me to be a channel of its goodness right where I am. So this morning I have seen the Star of David rise up. I have witnessed the angels singing. Today I add my voice to that celestial chorus and sing out for the goodness of humanity. Sing out for the goodness of our love together, our compassion. This morning I lift my eyes up from the turmoil of the world, and I see a day coming where we live together in sisterhood and brotherhood and peace, where the instruments of war have been made useless, where children are raised up in harmony and goodness and compassion. This morning I know who I am and whose I am, a child of the Most High, sent here to witness, sent here to be the blessings of God itself. This is my truth. Every cell of my being radiates this right knowing, and I release this prayer into the mind of God to do its good and perfect, bold and dynamic work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. All right, my friends, I'm going to leave you with one last idea, and that is your life. Your life. It's not a problem to be solved. It's a miracle unfolding. Your job this week is to go name your miracle, proclaim your miracle, and make it your own. God bless us all. Now let us go be the miracle Spirit is calling us to be. Until we see each other again, this is Reverend Ken wishing you many blessings.
This is a song that I co-wrote with Lizzie Hastings about, anyway, you'll see what it's about. But it was featured on one of Eclipse Studios' Empty Stocking Fund compilations where they donate the money to buy kids presents whose parents can't afford it. It's called Have a Holly Jolly Hippy Dippy Happy Snappy Christmas in St. Augustine. It's a bit of a tongue twister. We'll see what happens here. Well, we got hibiscus blowing in the ocean breeze. We got a truck in all of our Christmas trees. Kiss your sweetie under a swaying palm instead of a mistletoe. Well, the thermometer may say 10 below, but it's 10 below 85 or so. And I don't suppose we'll get any snow, but there's lots of warm people and places to go. Here we go. Have a holly jolly hippy dippy happy snappy Christmas in St. Augustine. See the ancient city all dressed up in lights. That's right. Have a holly jolly hippy dippy happy snappy Christmas in St. Augustine, where you're sure to see old St. Nick strolling old St. George tonight. Well, we got kids out surfing in the ocean blue, but they'll take a break when Santa comes through. You might see Santa out surfing too. But man, oh man, does he need a tan. Well, he's hanging 10 with all his friends and wearing SPF 110. You won't see Rudolph pulling his sleigh, but you can take a horse and carriage ride along the bay. So have a holly jolly hippy dippy happy snappy Christmas in St. Augustine. See the ancient city all dressed up in lights. That's right. Have a holly jolly hippy dippy happy snappy Christmas in St. Augustine, where you're sure to see old St. Nick strolling old St. George tonight. Merry Christmas, everybody.